Hey, good evening, everybody. I just really wanted to make a video this evening. Everything coming from the heart, just raw and real. I had not made a substantial video or a substantial post in over really a week. That was for a lot of reasons. One, because we've been very busy. And two, I just didn't know how I was, like, emotionally and mentally. Um, as you all know that follow me regularly, um, would have been 2 Friday nights ago. My partner and I got our very first Stockton Friday Nighters win, and for me, it was my very first ever bass fishing tournament win. Um, and I've been doing this for about 14 years now, really, just a little bit over. And so I just wanted to make a video. I don't want to go too long. I don't want to bore anybody, and I don't want anybody turning off. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody and just kind of share my story as quick as possible to let everybody know where my journey, where I came from, to kind of bookmark this ceremonious event. It was a big deal for me. It's a huge deal for me. Um, so first of all, I am a kid from Southwest Missouri. I was born in Springfield. I grew up uh, in Willard, Missouri. And if you don't know what that is, if you know where Springfield's at, go about 7 miles or so, or whatever it is, to the northwest of Springfield, and you will find a small bedroom town of Willard, Missouri. Now, Willard, Missouri is not known for a lot of things. For many, many years, it was known for two Olympians that were in on the U.S. Olympic team in volleyball and in track and field, and a few other little things, but not much. Not much. It's just a small town. When I grew up there wasn't but a few thousand people. I meant to look at the sign as I went through the other day to see how many people um, are in town now. It's not very many. The school district is one of the largest in Southwest Missouri. The only one that really rivals it in size is Springfield Public Schools, because it's Springfield Public Schools. So the numbers are huge, but as far as area square miles, I think it's actually the largest school district in Southwest Missouri. Someone can tell me if I'm wrong. I'm sure someone will, because that's the way social media and YouTube works. So I grew up there. My grandfather was a bass fisherman. He was a military man. He traveled all over the country, all over this world, serving in the U.S. Navy. Appreciative of his service every day of my life, because I couldn't be sitting here in this Triton bass boat, rigging rods and doing this video if it wasn't for men like him and their service. So appreciate the military world. We're pro-military in this house, 100%. Support the troops. We love our country. We support our troops here at this house. So he fished all over the country. A lot in the states that bass fishing was huge: Florida, Texas, California. Other places, as he was stationed and moved around, he fished. Anyway, so he retired, retired to Springfield, Missouri, and started bass fishing. Fished several clubs, several events, this and that. I don't really know his success. I really can't tell you, oh, he won this tournament or that tournament or whatever. I do know there's a number. When I was a younger kid, in my grandparents' basement, there were several bass fishing trophies down there. Unfortunately, my grandfather was a lifetime smoker, and he contracted emphysema, as they called it then. I think now they call it COPD. And really, before I could get started fishing really serious with him, he became very, very ill in the 90s. We fished all the time when I was a kid. My dad and him would go. They'd fish tournaments, and a lot of times I get to go with them. I just sit in the back of the boat with my bobber, my night crawlers, or my minnows, and every now and again they'd give me a crankbait, or I threw an old Zebco 33 close face reel on a medium heavy rod, and I just had a heck of a time. And like I said, sometimes they give me a crankbait to catch and retrieve and this and that. But when I really got older, he was already sick, and there were days he couldn't hardly get out of bed and move from the bed to the kitchen because of the emphysema or COPD, and the symptoms from being a lifetime smoker had taken their toll on him, and some things in the military, being exposed to chemicals without safety equipment, this, that, and the other. Anyway, so I really didn't have, he was always there. We always went fishing. He kind of taught me to the basics of fishing. He instilled the love that I have for bass fishing. I love to fish, but I love to bass fish, and that's because of him. We just because we went fishing, and they say the tug is the drug, and that's been 100% true for me my entire life as a little kid. So I got older. The fishing kind of went to the wayside as I played youth sports, played high school sports, junior high sports. I was a 3-year starter on the football team. I got to dress out varsity all 4 years, but I didn't get to start my freshman year. Officially get a start my freshman year. So I was a 3-year letterman in high school football. I played high school baseball. I ran high school track. I didn't play high school basketball only because you got a choice. You either got to go to basketball tryouts or you got to spend 3 more weeks with the football team, and that was a bigger priority for me to spend those 3 more weeks in the varsity football team and go through district playoffs and learn and absorb the playbook of this, that, and the other, because that was my thing. So we didn't get to fish a whole lot. Went on to college, and you go off for a few years, you kind of start coming back home, and this and that. Guys kind of settle down. Well, a friend of mine that I'd grown up with, played baseball with and basketball with growing up, and even a little football in junior high, in high school when he did play, Chase Rogers. Him and I got talking. We got to fishing a little bit, messed around, and one day, I don't know what it was, one day said, let's fish a bass tournament. So we tried to fish a bass tournament. We had motor, if my memory serves me right, that very first event we fished together, we had motor problems. And wasn't good. We didn't even get a mile, 2 miles down the lake, and he had a motor issue, motor locked up, broke something, this, that, and the other. So my first ever tournament day was very cut short very quickly. It wasn't very exciting. Most guys might have said, heck with this crap, this is what it's going to be, then out, but I just couldn't let go. Fished in a few more events with him, and then we found the Stockton Friday. I started working, and got a job at this place called Star Wholesale, and that's where I'm at now. Been there for 10 years. And there was a sales guy who used to help run the tournaments. His name's Cole Baker. He's still one of our best outside sales guys there at Star. He's a great guy. He showed me a lot of stuff too as far as fishing. But I had just started. He heard I fished and this and that. And he said, hey, you fish? I said, yeah, you fished a few tournaments. I said, yeah, I fished a few tournaments, blah, blah, not too serious. Well, long story short, he's like, I'll pay your entry fee. You got a boat? And I said, yeah, my dad's got this 16-foot aluminum with a 25-horse outboard on it. So he said, you show up, I'll pay your entry fee because we need boats, and I'm willing to pay your entry fee to help get boat numbers up, because the more boats you got, the more the payout is, right? So me and this other guy, who was my boss at the time, he's still, I guess, kind of my boss, Daniel Lane. He's one of our inside sales guys and kind of second in command there at Star now. So him and I said, hey, Dan, you want to fish? Well, I got this boat. Let's do this. Cole's going to pay our entry fee. So we did it. We fished and had a fairly good night. We had a really good night. Caught lots of fish. I think we ended up with 4 keepers, and he still tells the story to people. Man, if we would have caught that 5th keeper, we'd have been in the check line that night. And we would have. We really would have. And so that kind of got me hooked. I always loved night fishing. My grandfather loved to night fish, so I was kind of a night fisherman from the get-go. So I loved it. Got close that very first event. Really got close to getting a check, but I just couldn't find that 5th keeper. That's what really kept us out. Was I needed about 2-pound largemouth or whatever to get me in the check line. So I had 4 fish for like 9 pounds or whatever it was, and like just missed the check line. So then we go a couple weeks later, I fished another Friday night with Dan, and we fished fairly well. I don't remember if that one, was as good or whatnot, but we weighed fished, right? So fished that season, and then I got talking to Chase. We got kind of more serious. We fished a few daytime tournaments. I said, hey, this nighttime deal, man, we go 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. You work all day, I work all day. We can meet at the boat ramp. We can split the entry fees and gas money, blah, 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 right? So we did that. We fished together, and Chase, if you see this video, you might correct me. I think we fished 4 full seasons together. I think we fished 4 full seasons together, and Chase has worked really hard. I'm super proud of the guy and his wife. They are salt earth people, hardworking, hard-nosed people, nose to the grindstone work. And they have created 2 very, very successful businesses because of their hard work. Well, what comes with doing that is sacrifice. And one of the things Chase kind of had to sacrifice after year 4, because he was getting stressed out. I knew he was. He was probably fishing just because of me. Whether that's fair or not to him, I probably put him under some stress to do that. But anyway, after year 4, he just said, hey, I can't do this anymore. So I'm out there, didn't know what I was going to do. I thought, if it worst comes to worst, I'm just going to fish out of this aluminum boat my dad has, because, heck or high water, I'm going to, excuse me for a second, kill a bug going across there. I said, heck or high water, I'm gonna fish these bass tournaments. So we get to a point, and there's some stuff going on that used to be before like social media really took off. It was things called internet forums, and they're still pretty popular, but there was a deal on an internet forum. And I got a text from a guy. I said, hey, this guy on here on this Stockton Lake page is looking for a Friday night partner, blah, 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 blah. Don't know him, but man, you're looking, you ought to hit him up. So I'm in my office at work, and I get on the forum, log in, and sure enough, no one's responding. I said, hey, man, I sent him a message. And actually, I interacted with this guy before because he'd been down for a tournament and wanted to know how to navigate some of the backwaters down one of the river arms. And I was fairly familiar with that river growing up. So I, got a screenshot of the map, said, here's the channel, blah, 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 sent it off to him. Well, come to find out, my advice really helped him, this and that, and I was spot on. And so when I responded to his post about, hey, I need a partner, I guess it was another guy that had responded, but that didn't work out. And so we fished together, and Jeremy and I have been together. We kind of met at the boat ramp that first Friday, and I think I did fish that first one out of that Luna. But anyways, we met at the ramp, how are you? My name's Matt Hyde. Hi, my name's Jeremy Montgomery, blah, blah, let's go fishing. Here's gas money, here's part of that entry fee, I'll go pay it, whatnot, or whatever, however it worked. That's what we did. So we fished, and we had a really good night together. I remember we went to our first spot, and this and that, and we didn't have any keepers, and we come out of this pocket, and there was an old stump that the water was down. It was an old stump, typical, isolated cover. Always cast the isolated cover. That's the only cover around, cast to it, right? Typical bass fishing deal. I flipped my jig in there, the backside of that stump, blind hit the water, picked it up, my line, go, boom, 3.5 pound largemouth. So I think he was impressed. I don't know. I think he was impressed by that. I was sure impressed. Like, hey, I didn't screw that up. Got that, bass in the boat. We had a good night. I don't think we got a check that night. He might remember if he ever sees this video. But anyway, so we've been fishing together ever since. So that's kind of how that went. And we had ups and downs. Those first 2 years were really awesome. I think within the first couple tournaments of him and I fishing together, we drew a check in that Friday nighter. And at the time, that thing was drawing like 35 to 45 boats, and there was some Stockton Lake hammers at the time because the lake was fishing super good. The economy was pretty decent, and so there was a lot of boats, guys coming out. So the competition was super tough. So anytime whether you got a 6th place check or a 7th place check or whatever that place may be, you felt really good about yourself, and we all still do because the competition's amazing. But so we've been fishing together and this and that, and we had some success, had a few 3rd places and whatnot. Then we get to a couple years ago, and we're kind of in a points deal. We kind of put ourselves in a really good position. Well, we had a tournament. We really just kind of fell flat on our face and didn't fish too good. Only had 3 keepers or whatnot, and just felt horrible about the situation. We kind of screwed ourselves because we didn't have a good night. We kind of that was the end of it. And we were out of the points. If we would have had a really good night that night, had 5 keepers and weighed 5 and probably placed in the top 10 or top 7, we would have really had a shot at winning the Angler of the Year title that year. And we didn't. We kind of fell flat on our face. But 2 weeks later is the championship, kind of our Friday nighter version of the Bassmasters Classic, and we always do it last. And we'd kind of picked something up the week before we fell flat on our face. And so we went back there, and it was almost magical. And he pulled a few big fish out of there, and we had keepers. I think at that time we had like over 12 or 13 pounds in 4 fish. I mean, it was an awesome night. And we pulled to our 2nd spot there was a piece of structure there, and I catch one. And I hook this fish, bring it to the net, and as soon as he tries to net that fish, opens his mouth, my jig comes out, didn't have a good hook set after all, and that fish gets away. That was like a 6-pounder. He swears he still has video footage from his GoPro he's never showed me. So he probably doesn't. He might show me now that we've got the win, and the Heartbreak Hotel won't be as bad as a visit, but it was devastating. So we ended up losing by 2 pounds, and we figured out that fish I lost would have been the swing because we would have probably won by a pound. So that's tournament fishing. We fished a few more years, ups and downs, 2nd places, 3rd places, every place in between. Just never got that 1st place victory. And a couple Friday nights ago, everything just worked. Everything clicked. Everything worked. And we went to some spots. We had to fish hard. We had to fish patiently. We had some stuff happened early night. We lost some fish and everything, and that just kind of happens in fishing. So we kind of had our dollars in the dirt a little bit. We kind of were down on ourselves. We lost those fish early night, but we pulled up to a point, and I caught a few keepers, got us going, got the momentum back. Went to another spot. Jeremy catches 2 giant 5-pounders. So there's fish 4. There's fish 3 and 4 right there, 2 big ones, and we're trying to do the math and whatnot. And Jeremy loses another 4-pounder. And right back to that same feeling we've had for years, like, oh, great, here we go, another kick in the sack, And we leave that spot. We go up the lake a little bit, or go down the lake a little bit, I guess, and I catch another keeper. Okay, that's number 5. We got 5. Okay, let's roll with it. Catching their keeper is a little scrawny. Line burn, threw it back. Well, Jeremy's like, okay, we got time. Let's run back to another spot. Well, ran back to the spot we caught the 2 big ones, or he caught the 2 big ones, and I ended up catching one that was fairly close to 3, 2 3/4, right at 3-pounder. Called out another fish, another scrawny fish we had, and we ended up with almost 16 pounds that night and got our very first win as a team, and my very first tournament win ever. And another, he's such a good fisherman. He's got many titles under his belt. But man, I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I did not mean for this video to go 16 plus minutes, and I'm trying to wrap it up. But I just wanted to tell everybody that's my story. That's where I came from. That's my passion, and I just want to say thank you to everybody if you've stuck along this long. I appreciate all your support, all your prayers, all your thoughts, all your congratulations, even in the bad times where, alarm goes off on the outboard a few years ago, and we had, cut the fishing short by 3 hours, and we're on the trailer by 10 o'clock, and, it sucks. And that's fishing. But, all my sponsors that have come on board the last few years, Integrity Landscapes, awesome guys, awesome people, awesome family. CJP Bates, Carter and his family, his parents, awesome people. Shout out to APP Inc. down in Ozark, Missouri. They've taken care of me the last few years on my jerseys and stuff. That's a huge expense that they've taken care of for me, and I really appreciate it. Megan Henry, she's a real estate agent out of the Alpha Realty office. If you need to sell a home, I would never use anybody else but Megan. And Jeremy, too. He owns Bass Team Tackle. Bass Team Tackle's on the boat. He was the first guy that really believed in me, and we had long conversations, obviously, here together, tournament fishing. Not just nights. We fished a lot of day tournaments, too, and we got some checks. And there's been a lot of conversations with that man, and I can't say enough about him. He's a hard worker. He's dedicated to this craft of bass fishing, and the other day, he kicked my butt. He entered a tournament as a co-angler, and I was beating him on day 1, and then day 2 turns around and drops a 13-plus bag to beat everybody. And I'm just like, this guy's so good from the front of the boat and the back of the boat. It doesn't matter. He's just a good fisherman. And God put him in my life for a reason. I really appreciate everything he's ever done for me, all the confidence and all the conversations about what I should do for my career and what I should do and this and that and the other. And there's been several others. TBF has been an awesome group of guys to get to know and help. And Brian Maloney with that group has always been phenomenal with me. And there's other guys. Caps is awesome. Has been awesome to me since we fished together and everything. Always answers questions and whatnot. So anyway, I just want to say thank you. And Stormy and Garrett, I know you guys aren't with me anymore as sponsorship, but you guys are just like family, especially Stormy, growing up together. And when they had Citizens United and what that stood for, that was awesome to have you guys with me on the boat and on the jersey and everything. So thank you to everybody. Like I said, Chase, he paints a lot of my cut. There's a lot of custom crankbaits I carry in this boat. He's painted probably 95% of all the customs I've got. One day he's going to get that business back up and running, and he's going to be selling a lot of crankbaits. So stay tuned for that. When he gets up and running, I'll let everybody know. You can start ordering custom painted baits from him. They're awesome. They are awesome. So just want to say thanks. Like I said, I never meant to go 20 minutes with a video, but I just want to give everybody some background and get to know me a little bit and understand where I'm at and my story. And if you always have any questions, please comment. I try to respond as quick as possible. Check out my other social medias. My Facebook is more for my family. I don't really have a professional /fishing Facebook page yet. I've created one. I just really haven't done anything with it. But my Instagram is where it's at, Matt Hyde Outdoors. And then this new YouTube channel, Matt Hyde Outdoors. So thanks again, everybody. I appreciate it. We'll see you on the water. We're out here in the garage doing tackle, doing rods, getting stuff ready, because we got Friday Nighters again this coming Friday. So we got to get back on the water and get to it, and hopefully another good night and get some more points. So thank you all again, and God bless y'all.